Hello Doctor Who fans, I am Doctor Who Commentator. Now, someone on YouTube just made a point to me, or rather asked me something about potential ideas for my channel, or anything else. She or he was a newcomer to Doctor Who, and wanted to have either a collector's guide or even to talk about the various spin-offs of Doctor Who. And I don't know about a collector's guide, but I can sort of show you the spin-offs to Doctor Who. And I say show because I'd love to talk in depth about them, but I haven't watched them in ages, so I can't really tell you much about them. But I can certainly go through what I remember. And I'm doing it from here, as opposed to my comfy chair, because I want to remember where exactly they go in the shelf here. So, let's make a start. Now, this was the first of the independent Doctor Who spin-offs, Wartime. It's only just recently been released on DVD. I say recently, I think that's 2014 or something like that. No, 2015. Sorry. It tells the story of Benton. Sergeant Benton. We've come a long way from Doctor Who since then. And from what I remember, he was delivering what I think was a bomb. It's never really described where, I don't think. But they've just stopped in a field for some reason. And Benton has now been completely trapped in this bizarre nightmare world. It's pretty, sort of like a ghost story, if anything else, because he's remembering an old friend of his who he technically killed. Yeah, really disturbing, but nonetheless he's encountering his father, he's wrapped with all this guilt. And it's certainly it's an interesting story, but like I said, it was the first of the spin-offs. Now after that came the p.r.o.b.e. series. This was, in actuality, a series that was written by, at the time, the relatively unknown Mark Gatiss. Yes, that same Mark Gatiss who is now a borderline national treasure. Anyway, the p.r.o.b.e. series started off with 4 movies. With this one, which was p.r.o.b.e. Zero Imperative. And I say I can't really remember much of this one, other than it was about a patient getting loose and committing murders. And I should have pointed out, the p.r.o.b.e. series, it's about Liz Shaw and her adventures continuing, and they did get back Carol and John for them. But interesting about this particular one, it brings back the actors John Pertwee, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy, and Sophie Aldred even has a cameo in it. After that, edition of p.r.o.b.e. was the next edition of p.r.o.b.e., The Devil of Winterbourne. This one I remember a bit better simply because it was set in a school. And again, this is more a sort of gothic tale. There is very much a ritualistic aspect to it. And I'm pretty sure this one also starred Peter Davidson. And I'm pretty sure you'll see why when I get through these. The next of the p.r.o.b.e. series was Unnatural Selection. Again, this one I don't really remember. I think this one was sort of like a Frankenstein's monster type of thing. There was definitely something about that going on. And the reason I say I think Peter Davison in the last one, because this is actually a sequel to The Devil of Winterbourne, called The Ghosts of Winterbourne. This one definitely starred Peter Davidson in it, and it is pretty much literally just a follow-up from the last one. Well, there's one character that comes back, one actress that comes back who's playing her twin sister, which is weird. On top of that, midway through this and everything, is a spin-off, Downtime. Again, this is one that's just recently came onto DVD. This one is actually about that good old friend, the Yetis. Yes, the Yetis are back, and the Great Intelligence is back. And it stars Elizabeth Sladen and Nicholas Courtney, but also Deborah Walting, who is reprising an old character that was also one of the Doctor's companions. I can't remember which one. Oh yes, Victoria. Sorry, running the back here. Yes, Victoria. She was a companion of the Doctor way back in the Patrick Troughton years, and did fight the Nesting, the Great Intelligence. I remember. Sorry, but I know why I'm thinking Nesting, because of all the monsters that were brought back, we have Auton. Yes, this was the first of a trilogy, and like this one suggests, this is very much about the Autons and the Nestine consciousness. And the Nestine was kept in a warehouse somewhere, and the caretaker has found it, and it's up to our main characters of this to obviously fight it off. There were also some Autons left in crate as well. It is a very well-made piece, actually. It's clearly low budget, but the BBV that made this one truly outdid themselves, I think. It still felt like a good old Doctor Who. And it was so good that they made another one. This time, like I say, I can't really remember this one, but this one focuses a lot more around a church where the Nestine is slowly garnering a religion around it, and they've got to fight back against it. And unlike the last one, while it's fair to say that one was a sequel, I don't think it was really a direct sequel. Auton 3 is very much takes place exactly where the last one left off. It's still the same story, it's still a continuation of that religion, it still has the same characters from the last one. It's very much following where it left off. Another of our spin-offs is Mind Game. This is the first. This has Azon Taran, a Draconian, and Sophie Aldred playing what is supposedly a new character. I remember reading there is some suspicion that it was actually Ace. She was actually just playing Ace, and she'd somehow, after time she separated from Doctor, she became some sort of space pirate or whatever. The plot of it is that 3 aliens have been gathered together by some unknown entity and has forced them to fight each other. But ultimately the plot is they escape. And continuing on from that is Auton Trilogy. And the reason this Mind Game Trilogy, excuse me, and Mind Game Trilogy, it takes place after Mind Game, but slightly differently. This is 3 different stories. This is actually individual stories of the Zontaran, the Draconian, and whatever Ace's character was. The Zontaran is recruiting his ward and his stories, I think it is. The Draconian is awaiting trial, I think, and is talking to the camera completely throughout. It's a very break the fourth wall thing. And Ace's character is just trapped in a spaceship waiting for death. The next spin-off is Damon's Rising. This introduces the character... Oh no, sorry, doesn't introduce, I forgot. The Downtime one that I showed you earlier actually introduced the character of Kate Stewart, who is obviously now in the main Doctor Who story. This reintroduced her. At that time she was only ever in spin-offs. This is where... We don't see Nicholas Courtney in this one, but it is... In this one, she's going to her father's house. I can't remember the purpose of why, but she soon finds she can't get out, and a Damon from the John Pertwee episode, I'm looking up here, from the episode The Damons, has actually now reappeared. And after that, Doctor Who, the TV series, it came back. So what came after that? Torchwood. Quite possibly one of the best spin-offs, and of course, unlike the others, this one was actually made by the BBC. This was a direct continuation of the main story. It features Captain Jack Harkness, John Barrowman himself, Captain Jack Harkness, a man who now can't die. Due to the events of the end of Series 1 of the new Doctor Who, he just can't die, no matter what he tries. We also have Gwen Cooper, who's pretty much the everyman of this show. She is very much who the audience has to relate to, who to ask the questions to. As for what Torchwood is, it is a Earth organisation that monitors alien activity. What makes it unique to the Doctor Who franchise, if anything else, is this is an adult spin-off. In the sense that this is a sci-fi, it's connected. Whereas Doctor Who was for family viewing, this was purely for adults. And then the second series came along, parents were complaining, my children can't watch this, and so Rusty Davies wrote it in a way so that he could cut it in repeats. So that you'd have the main one that would go, you have the episode that would go out one day, 45 minutes, then the next day there would be a cut version, 30 minutes long, with all the bad stuff taken out. So it was effectively a kids' show with adult stuff put in from time to time. Yeah, bit sorry about that. Continuing down the line with our spin-off series, The Sarah Jane Adventures. Yes, Sarah Jane was back. Elizabeth Sladen had come back for one episode of Doctor Who, and now she was given her own series. This was for CBBC, so much younger audience, so lot more brighter coloured aliens, if anything else. This focuses on a sort of clone son of hers, because there's no other better way to describe it, a clone son of hers, who is super intelligent, and Sarah Jane also fights all the monsters and aliens that comes down. And David Tennant even had appeared in 2 episodes, which was interesting. Moving on. All that came along is the movie Zygon. Now, this was actually released in 2008, but it was planned and made in 2003, so 2 years before Doctor Who even came back. This is truly one of the most adult of Doctor Who spin-offs, if anything. It focuses on a woman, I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she's a doctor, she's fallen in love sort of with one of her patients, and it turns out that patient is a Zygon. No biggie. Eventually she gets taken by another Zygon, and she's somewhat forced to become a Zygon in a weird way. It's a very bizarre flick, and a lot of nudity and sex scenes in it. And it's certainly not something you want to watch with the parents around. But, also interesting, I mentioned the Probe series. Long after Carol and John died, another Probe movie came out. And this features someone else taking the role of Liz Shaw, Hazel Burrows. Again, this one came out recently. And I remember this one a bit better, this one is actually about a super soldier, or an ex-super soldier, who is soon to have to be put down, and so he is on the run for his life. Would I actually recommend it as a episode? Well, if you want all the spin-offs, then you may as well have it, but it's not very well done, because this one's not written by Mark Gatiss. It's by Bill Braggs, who produced all the others as well. He seemed to think he could be a writer. I'm sorry, Braggs. I won't mind any more I don't mind any more Pro-Series. But Jesus, who on earth was directing the camera shots in that? I mean, he was trying to be really artistic and it failed massively. And I completely forgot one spin-off right at the top here. I said that Wartime was the first spin-off. That was kind of the first independent spin-off. This is the first spin-off, K9 and Company. K9 and Company. K9 was already such a really popular character in Doctor Who that it was kind of decided, well, maybe he should have his own spin-off. And it did, along with Elizabeth Sladen. It only had one episode, because it's kind of unfair, because it got low figures, but that's because a dish, or I want to say satellite dish, some receiver was hit by lightning or something, and so the reality was there just wasn't a way to broadcast it at that time. And there's another spin-off the series that I don't actually have, just simply called K9. Again, this one was made by Jetix Europe. It's Disney XD now. This one again tells the story solely of K9, set in the year 2050, with a somewhat fascist government running Britain. So if you kind of like that sort of thing, and really bad child actors. But as I've highlighted before, there's one spin-off that's not on DVD yet, and that is Shakedown: Return of the Zontarans. This is very much the one spin-off I really want to see back. And if you saw my previous videos, I did some investigating, and I thought Real Time owned the rights to it. It turns out Big Finish owned the rights to Shakedown: The Zontarans. Now, this time I'm probably going to leave where you can contact Big Finish. I really would love to see this as part of the spin-off collection, and if you want to see this, if you love the spin-offs and want to see it as part of your collection, I stated before, Big Finish, very specific, Big Finish are considering releasing it. I contacted Big Finish, they said they are considering it. Nothing definite. They need to be sure that if they do it, they can get some sort of return. Please contact Big Finish. I want to do an email campaign. Contact Big Finish and tell Big Finish, yes, we would like to see Shakedown: Return of the Zontarans. So, I hope that was your guide, very poor guide, admittedly, to the spin-offs, but these are spin-offs. If you want to buy them, you can buy them they're only available from an independent retailer known as Galaxy 4. And with that, thanks for watching.